see you, and always happy to be here to introduce another guest and even previous guests. I'd always like to give an introduction. Again, my name is Zachary Oliver. I'm the Vice President, Executive Vice President of UPF, which is the major sponsor of this particular program that we do weekly. I thought that we have an exciting one last week, and we're going to have an exciting one next week. However, this one I decided to bring on a recording of Pamela Johnson, who is the Executive Director and founder of Anti-Violence Coalition of Hudson in New Jersey. She's been extremely successful in what she has done. And I like to hear it because what we're going to do in this upcoming year, is to sponsor a national conference where we bring the best practices. And I thought we wanted to hear those best practices that she has accomplished in her founding of this coalition, Anti-Violence Coalition, in Hudson Valley and New Jersey. Why I particularly wanted to present hers is because, as we spoke before, we have best practices. But one of the things that she does engender, or she does execute within her programs that I think is vitally important is intervention, treatment, prevention, and healing. So she is encompassing really the whole scope of what it is to be used in order to reduce the violence in our community, because we're looking at it from a holistic point of view. But also we need other bodies to come in, like the religious leaders, the spiritual leaders, the community leaders, the law enforcement, the political leaders, social leaders, all those who play a critical role in accomplishing even those 4 different areas of violence: prevention, intervention, treatment, and healing. So we wanted to reintroduce her. She's come on twice, but I would like to have her, like to rehear her video so that we can have an open discussion. And then after that, after our open discussion, anybody else wants to make some comments or whatever, then we will proceed from there, and then we will end. But we want to thank everyone always for coming. And Nadia, if you can play that recording.
Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Have Pamela and Johnson on. And Pamela Johnson is a community activist and an anti-violence advocate in Jersey City, New Jersey. She is the founder of the Anti-Violence Coalition of Hudson County and the co-founder and executive director of Jersey City Anti-Violence Coalition movement, which addresses the needs for public safety through various programs, initiatives that focus on preventing violence and improving the quality of life for the residents. She received her master's degree in public administration in St. Peter's University, where she also received her bachelor's degree in social science, graduating cum laude. Wow, congratulations. Pamela is currently pursuing a second master's degree in communications and public relations at SPU. As a lifetime resident of Jersey City, which is a very important city, her parents raised her to know the struggles of others and to be able to advocate to those who need it the most. Beautiful. Pamela has spent her career deeply committed to improving the quality of life throughout Jersey City and serving our most vulnerable communities. She believes strongly in investing in the people and leading a progressive movement that focuses on moving communities forward. It is about standing together to do better for the entire community. This is the motto for every facet of her life. She believes in it, and God bless you, she lives it. So we want to hear her, our dear sister, as she gives us her synopsis of all that she has been doing through her channel, Anti-Violence Coalition. Welcome, Pamela, for Ms. Johnson for coming on with us, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Please feel free to call me Pam. I'm happy to be here with you guys today. Thank you, Barry, for the invitation. Thank you, Mr. Oliver, for the warm welcome and, giving that whole beautiful description of who I am and what I represent. So yeah, my name is Pamela Johnson. Lifelong resident of Jersey City, and some other things that was in the short bio. More importantly, I'm a mom, I am a grandmother, and I am simply a resident of Jersey City who wants to see my community improve. And so 8 years ago, myself and some other residents, some who are still working with the coalition to this day, started the Jersey City Anti-Violence Coalition movement, which is a community group. We later on created the Anti-Violence Coalition of Hudson County, which is where our 501c3 is, so we can advocate and make a bigger impact, not just in Jersey City, but throughout Hudson County. Most of the violence in Hudson County is located in concentrated areas in Jersey City. So although we do focus our attention and efforts in areas of Jersey City where violence is concentrated, we still do respond to violence throughout Hudson County to see what we can provide direct victim services for residents who are in trauma and going through just severe, victimization due to gun violence or violence in general. So I guess I can start off like why we decided to jump into this work in the first place back in 2014. We had Detective Santiago was murdered in Walgreens on Communipaw Avenue, and a call went out on social media for a community meeting to address what was happening in our city. It was a very tense time with police. We had other officers from different municipalities policing our area of Jersey City, and it was just a lot of things happening. And so, we Googled, because we didn't want to reinvent the wheel. So we Googled, like, is there any anti-violence coalitions in Jersey City or Hudson County? There was no one addressing what was happening in our community. And so we created that community group to address and focus on gun violence and trauma in our city. We started just on the ground talking to the people, wondering, doing, a census and asking specific questions, why do you think violence exists in your community? What are some of the ills in your community that, people tend to lean towards, doing something that will get them in some type of trouble or, danger. And so, we just started talking to the people in those neighborhoods. And I also want to say that all of us who work for this organization, we're all born and raised in Jersey City. And we all live in Jersey City, in those areas where violence is concentrated. I live on Princeton Avenue, and, although if you're on Princeton Avenue, you'll say this is a beautiful, beautiful street and beautiful area, but if you go 2 blocks up, you might walk into the middle of a gunfight. So, we know what's happening in our city because we live there. And so we actively try to make it better. And so, we got the trust of the community because of our consistency. And today, that's why our work actually works, because, people trust us to do exactly what we say that we're going to do, because we've always done just that. So years later, we talked about running programming and what we can actually do to help our community. And then we started our programming. We started the violence prevention programming, the conflict resolution programming, the mediation, going into the schools, the Jersey City public schools and charter schools and private schools, and talking to the youth so we can get them as young as we could, as a way to prevent things from happening. In so many instances, we're always intervening in conflict, trying to de-escalate conflict, but that's somewhat like a police officer. Police are called, after something has happened, while something is happening. In order to really be effective in our work, we wanted to be there before it happened. We wanted to prevent it from happening, because when we get those calls, because gunshots are already firing, somebody shot. or somebody's traumatized from what just happened. So, the bulk of our work is prevention. And, we just began to like take off and do that magical work that was changing people's lives. And we've been doing that work now for 8 years. And part of going in the schools or in, churches or in community organizations and in their meetings and, activating ourselves, we go into the homes, we go into the housing complexes, we go where that violence is concentrated directly on those corners, on those hot spots. We have an initiative called Occupy the Corners, and that's been around for 8 years. And we go directly to those areas where violence is concentrated. For instance, if you know a little bit about Jersey City and you did a little research, and those areas are like Wilkerson Avenue, Curry's Woods, Ruckards Avenue, Bidwell Avenue, Booker T Housing Complex, Marion Housing Complex, it's a housing complex called the New Houses. So, there are about 16 areas in Jersey City where this violence is concentrated. Some of those blocks are only have one block in between them. So that's how close the violence is, and the groups who are going back and forth with each other. They're very close to each other. They don't live on the opposite side of town. They live in an area where they can literally walk around a corner and see somebody who wants to hurt them. Another program that we recently started was a building trades program. So we always said, going back 8 years ago, that if we had the opportunity to truly change someone's life, how will we do that? What kind of opportunity does that look like? And, as we did work for many years, a job is an opportunity. When you're talking to a lot of the youth and young adults on the corners, they're missing out on an opportunity. They think that, they're disenfranchised from their community. They're not getting the resources they need from their community, and some not in their households because of various reasons. And so, we started the building trades program. We offer free OSHA training. Then they go into a carpentry module, plumbing, HVAC, and electrical, and they learn all about that, and they're certified when they leave us, and then we get them a job, after that takes place. So these are just things that we do to combat violence and decrease the number of residents who it affects, so that people can go on and live a happy and healthy life. I mean, I could go on, but I want to make sure I'm giving you exactly what you need. So if anybody have any questions.
Yeah, I want to thank you for, you can go on a couple more minutes. You said a mouthful in such a short time, guy.
Yeah, this is like, we do this work every day. We also have another program where we meet victims at the bedside. That work is funded by the Victim of Crime Act funding, which is federal dollars. And so we have a partnership with the Jersey City Medical Center that, when they receive gunshot wound victims in the medical center, that we're contacted, and once they're stabilized, we meet them at the bedside and begin to conduct an intake assessment and enroll them in our program, because what we're seeing is a lot of recidivism when it comes to gunshot wound victims. You're seeing the same victims from the same locations with similar injuries, and who needs some guidance and some help. And sometimes that help came in the form of relocation. Some folks have to leave Jersey City, depending on how deep you're involved in what's happening on the street. For your safety, you need to relocate yourself, and we help with that as well. If victims are shot, traumatized, and are missing out on work, we complete their applications for the victim of crime compensation, and we assist them in getting their wages and salaries paid for that time that they're out of work, to get therapy and trauma recovery from the TRC if you need some type of counseling. I mentioned the relocation. We also assist with gift cards, ShopRite gift cards, to help our victims and our clients who are experiencing food insecurities. If folks are having issues with slum landlords, we get with the city and the county and make sure that we're addressing their needs with housing. The list goes on and on. We have a lot of programs underneath the coalition, and we do a lot of referrals, and not a referral where we give our clients a piece of paper and send them somewhere. but a referral to where we're contacting, that referral source and, walking our clients through that. So they're not victimized or further victimized by the system, because that's exactly what happens sometimes. Folks call agencies and organizations for help, and instead of getting help, they get the runaround, which kind of defeats a person, and then they just hang up and don't call back, and they never receive the help they need to, live a better life. I do see a question in the chat. Are you federally funded? Do you apply for grants? Yes. So right now we have a federal grant and we have a state grant, and we just found out we are the new recipient of the city grant for violence intervention, which is the first grant that the city has ever put into play to address this. And then we also work off of donations as well. Our grants, I think we got our first big grant 3 years ago. So we've been around 8 years. And although the grant money definitely helps us pay staff and, further service the clients, but even when we had to do this work voluntarily, we were still doing our thing. So we're happy to be funded, but definitely we would do it even if we wasn't. But the funding does help a lot. And we do apply for grants all the time. We're working, I feel like we never stop applying for grants. We're working on a really big grant right now that we're hoping to get by the end of the year. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
I just had a conversation prior to this with another gentleman who has done things similar to you. And I think one of his focus was reuniting recidivism, or men who are in and out of the prison system with their families. It helps to curb their risk in returning into at-risk situations. And so we were thinking, as you had just said, and I like what you presented, it because you're dealing with the whole community, and that's what he said. We have to deal with the whole different angles of the whole community, different angles to bring some healing to this process. So that will be next week, but I would like to have you again, and we can all get together and start, because if you have a model that is working, the show should go on the road. And then it's not only that yours is working, but sometimes all these programs are islands on their own, no man islands on their own. They're by themselves. And I think as a nation, and that's what we're trying to do here, as a nation, we have to see what works and how we can connect everyone together and work into a national coalition, and looking at the best, best scenarios that have proven and look like, in what I'm hearing from you, not only your program has become sustainable, but you can also measure the changes in the people's lives. And that is incredibly important. One question I want to ask you is to go into a new term, recidivism for victims of gunshots. That was a kind of a new one for me. And I like if you can just, embellish upon that for me.
So I mean, we usually use that terminology when we're having a re-entry conversation, as far as people going back and forth into the prisons or jails. But that's a word going around right now. But prior to that word being used, I would always give examples to political folks or community folks or whoever needed to hear the message that there's a particular family called the Rush family. And I grew up with a lot of the Rushes. I'm 48, so the Rushes who were in their 40s, and they had a lot of struggles growing up, and was engaging in a lot of dangerous stuff back then, so 40 plus years ago. And unfortunately, that generational curse is still upon them. So even now, I think as early as the end of last year, beginning of this year, 2 cousins just were murdered. They were, Rush, they both were Rushes, they're cousins, moms, 2 moms, their moms are siblings. And, so that whole generational kind of recidivism, traumatic experience, systemic violence, it truly runs deep in their family. And if you look at the family, and I've talked to a lot of them, it's not because they don't want help. It's because they don't know how to get help. It's been existent for so long within their family, in their household, that they have no idea how to climb up out that deep, deep, dark hole. And it's and even with because we have to also be honest too about the capability of us as human beings and the willingness of others, or even just folks having that feeling that, I'm tired of this and I know it's a better way and I'm going to try to find it. Some folks, who have been victimized by a system, because this is systemic, by a system that was never designed to see them succeed. It's kind of like there is no picture or no rainbow at the end of the road ever, ever. They don't see light. And, so that's when I say recidivism, that's what I'm thinking of, those generations of trauma, that generation of systemic abuse by, like I said, a system that was never designed to see our people flourish and thrive.
That is really powerful. Thank you for sharing that. And I think one of the things that I've always brought this particular show that touched my heart in looking at the violence and that is systemic within many at-risk communities. And I guess if I say it, Pamela, you might know it. And it's centered on Jersey City, and it's called 7 Seconds. And I watched all the episodes of that, and that really gave me a deep glimpse of something you just said. A lot of times people don't know how. And people want to. So the want to means that they are viable human beings who are capable of not being victims of recidivism or violence in their families. But what rope do we have to help them come out of that quagmire and so that they can be and it's true, the system it's like a system that doesn't really see their value. So then what's the use, if you keep people in a certain mold, if you will, then you don't reach out in the same way you would reach out to others, so that you can help bring some resolve to the issues that are plaguing our community. And the communities are large. I was talking with Reverend Jenkins, who is the executive president of international president of UPF, which is one of the sponsoring organizations of this webinar. And we were talking about just gun violence in general that's out there. Some people just walk up, and just recently in New York, 2 people were just walk up and random just shoot someone in the head. You have that out there, but everything leads back to a lack of love and a lack of values, or the home stems to your community and your homes, no matter what. So everybody in America is a victim to this. Whether you're white, you're black, everybody are victims. But as you are sharing with us here, our communities have a very unique angle to address, if you will. And so I'm grateful to that. As you had mentioned, some people have put it already in these nonprofits that are out there. I hope you're looking at them, that might be able to also contribute to your work. But I'm going to stress that we continue to talk, because something like this needs to go on the road. You know, we can have all these wonderful dialogues, but I think a lot of things that people do say are critically important. And how do we get those insights to the community, you know, and to
Right.
help you? That's where the rubber truly meets the road. Anyone else has, do you have, I would like anyone else to ask you any other questions, Pam?
Is that okay, Reverend Alden?
Actually, that's fine. I was engaged. So
Yes, yes.
that was so I wanted to, it's really powerful. Thank you very much. I myself was just reminiscing over that particular conversation. I like, and it's true, we talk about prison recidivism, but we don't talk about another reality out there, and that's trauma recidivism. You know, people who are gunshot victims and they go back and forth. And I do remember some people say, I've been wounded shot 5, 6 times, you know. And there are people, it's hard to imagine, but there, you know, the psyche is so complex that an individual can be in an environment or be subjected to so much violence that they don't know how to get out of it. You know, for me, most people say, just walk out the door, go there. But it's beyond that. It's a psychological imprisonment that disallows the person to take 3 steps left or 3 steps right. And I think we have to look at that much more seriously. As she was sharing that, I was reminiscing over that particular conversation and what that really meant of people out there that, you know, they just don't know how to get out of the vicious cycle. And so anyway, I was really appreciative for that, listening to her. And I, like I said before, and I'm glad that I said that that was in one of our earlier episodes. And like, we got to get it on the road, you know, these things on the road. So this year, without any prolongation, we will be looking at maybe in June to have a national conference here in Washington, D.C., bringing these best practices, some law enforcement representatives. She's a community representative and several others that I would like to bring into one room and, you know, mish us together and come up with the national best practices and how we can nationally support each other, how we can nationally spotlight these great efforts and great, as I had said to her, some sustainable programs that she has implemented that are working. You know, it might not be a bulk of people, but it's enough to say that it's working and it's touching the community. We have Mr. Bostic, Reverend Bostic as well, and others who came on and shared how when they implemented a program, and one of the key components that she said that was working, that was touching the hearts of the individuals, was consistency. So each one of the people that we hear when they talk and why they're getting results of consistency, because in those communities or in the lives of any human being that is struggling with some issues is a lack of consistency. And so I'm really impressed by, again, by her presentation. And so I just wanted to open up the floor for now. If anyone had any points that they would like to bring out, something I missed and that they would like to.
Well, I'm continually amazed that these people want help. You know, we just assume that they don't, that they've chosen this lifestyle, you know, whether or not they were forced into it or not. you know, and we hear this a lot. They want help. They do want help. And she explained a little bit more. And then Reverend Bostic really went into it, and they implemented lots of changes that totally changed the whole city of Yonkers.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. One thing she said, Nadia, that I thought the power of intervention.
Ah,
Intervention, she said, it is de-escalates violence. She said the bulk of their efforts is the intervention, but of course they have the others. Can't get them all, so you still have to deal with post and and other areas to deal with the violence or the traumas that are occurred and face. So anybody else? Thank you, Nadia. That's true. Share some point. Don Willett, how are you?
Yes. Hi, good afternoon. Yes, thank you. Everybody joined today. I'd like to share more like a spiritual, fact. In some area more in a conscious, certain area every month or every year, like that. When we believe in God, and the true parents, teach many things. And the true father said, in the Bible too also, somebody killed you, and you today, you are killing one of your next generation. So, like eyes to eyes, and then, tooth to tooth, these all the testament, these, things, when you commit the sin, you have to pay. So, when we look at this spiritual, effect, then we see why people kill each other all the time in a certain area. So when we think about that, we need more education because Adam and Eve, since Adam and Eve fall away, we are human being didn't have proper education. So when true parents, when Messiah came, Jesus' time also, love your neighbor, you love your, enemy, right? So today, true father, first thing, true father said, do you know what the Messiah doing when he comes? He said, character education. True father, Messiah, as a parents, true parents has to educate, fallen world, to the true parents, man, true parent of all mankind, right? So parents have to re-educate, so that's why, when we do this stopping the violence, we have to see this, why these things are happening, continue. The resentful feeling, oh, you killed my grandparents or my mother or father, I will kill you, one of your person, family. So that's why sometimes it happens exactly what age, got killed, then they wait for that age too. It is exactly revenge, coming like that. It is a very accurate spiritual world. When your descendants become 50 years old, I will kill you. That kind of judgment comes. So it is a very dangerous thing. We don't want, when I kill somebody because, I feel so, angry or something, to protect me, myself. But that day when you kill someone, your generation will get killed. So, when we educate, our, society, even, yes, when we educate, why we are commit sin, when, this will come back to us. So, true parents came as true parents of mankind. He has to educate, right? So we have a neutral Messiah. We have to educate too. We have to educate the true parents what they educated. We have to educate. So yes, in Korea, when true fathers, ask all the church ministers go out to give, education about how we overcome, how we can defeat, North Korea. North Korea will attack someday, so we have to be prepared. All these dangerous situations we have to, do what to do. So, our church ministers, they go out every week, go to the, city hall, community hall, visit, like their office, and then they give a VOC, lecture. So, yeah, that much effort. So how true fathers doing always, education, right? So, how we can do, we just invite some, first responders, but what we can have a result, come out from this, Zoom meeting. But we can do some, more, more effective way, and today's, world is the school is owned by, government. What the school teacher to do, what the principal must to do, they give you some directions. So they don't, really they have no freedom to do what they have to do. Even we prepare, good program, character education. I don't know, we can, we can, pass through that. So, it is, everything's black. Today's world is, like a, yeah, it is, it's very, yes, in this world, I think all, the brothers, sisters here right now, right? Yes, true father said, why this kind of world we see? Family breakdown, use moral immorality, all this happening. Government, they don't do right, governing to sacred all, citizens of America. And also school teacher, professors, and any school level of teachers, they don't educate properly. They are all, like a side way in the communist, organization. They don't teach you right. And that's what true father said. True father said that today's government, president, they don't do well, taking care of citizens. They do on their benefit. And the school professors, teachers, they don't teach you right. That's why this human society become worse and worse. And then also, we live in this world, is everywhere chaos, right? True father said, human being now, they are tasting of God's 6,000 years of sorrow. So that's why everywhere we look around, it's all sorrows everywhere. So we have to comfort Heavenly Father. That is what we have to do, and true parents. So we are testing. God wants to, you human being, you betrayed me for 6,000 years. I worked hard. I suffered through. But now, last day, I will let you taste how God was sorrowful for 6,000 years. So now we are tasting of God's 6,000 years of sorrowful heart. So yes, when we think about like that, it's we have to some other way, some solution have to come. Yes, thank you. Maybe some other people share.
Here, beginning from character education to certain curriculum that's needs to be taught. Now, I think what we need to do is have what like Pamela, these people are doing is preparing people practically, because you can't feed people spiritual stuff if they're hungry. And I'm saying the type of hunger is a lack of really understanding anything. So that's where the spiritual teachers come in. You know, the spiritual education should come in eventually. Eye for eye, tooth for a tooth. That, you know, the karma, people can understand karma. You know, if you do this, this happens to you. So also the curse of a family too. If you kill there's other spirits out there that are resentful for that, and it's going to happen to your child or whatever. But it's a vicious cycle that needs to be addressed, but it needs to be addressed in a manner where people can begin to connect it, you know, practically with what's going on in the world today. So that's, I think, even with character education, one of the things that I heard in my mind while you were speaking, in order to stop the vicious cycle that you were talking about, I think there's a word we need to use is reconciliation. You know, we need to reconcile, you know, and there's not a lot of reconciliation going on in those communities. And as she said, how could they come to that kind of mindset when they don't know how to get out of the mindset of violence in their own home? You know, just they're stuck. They don't know how to get out. And so that's where we come and we reach. And after you polish them up, then you begin to help them sites of, you know, the spiritual component that they're dealing with now. People are so inundated with this vicious cycle and hatred and all that. They can't even see the spiritual components of it. You know, they can't. So yeah, so I understand. Thank you so much for sharing that. Anyone else as we Richie come to a close? If not, I will kind of bring it to a close. I just wanted to go over that, but next week is going to be an exciting week, and I'm going to bring on, I was going to say 2, but now I want to bring on 3. I was at a meeting, kind of like a panel discussion meeting here in Washington, D.C., and a scholar, Dr. Holtzuk. He was one of the panel presenters. He did an extraordinary job. And what he did was to start with historical housing projects in America, how they came into existence, and how that trapped people into these kind of Richie. When I thought about this expert, you're a white American, gave an excellent presentation to help us see how people could get trapped, you know, really trapped into a certain mindset, a certain mentality that will dictate certain behaviors that are unbecoming, you know? And so I thought about it, I said, I would love him to come to give us the presentation, because it would fit in the presentation of Taylor and also Jim that I would like. So I was gonna give them 5 minutes each. You have a discussion, and I think we'll go a little longer, like not 3 o'clock before, maybe 3:30 or something like that. So we can really go into this, and I think we can come up with some answers to a lot of different things. So he said he would come on, and you know, he gave a very historical view of the projects she talked about, these communities, how they came into existence, and he gave some statistics that were just awesome and incredible stats that he gave. And then, of course, I wanted to bring Taylor back because Taylor, the young lady, she had an angle. And then of Jim, also Edgerly, who's our member, but he has always dealt with the issue of race, the issue of America, and the healing of America. How can America heal? And so I wanted to bring those 3 things. I think it would be an innovative conversation. And to your other point, son, Mrs. Willett, is that, yeah, that's why now this year, the seminars, these Zoom meetings will morph into some sort of action plans, some sort of healing plans, of course. And also character education. We've had other speakers that came on and they stressed character education, and they were had some curricula in the area of character education. But we need the all different points to come together and then implement the character education piece as well. Yeah. So anybody else as we come to a conclusion? You want to say something else, Son?
Yes, it's a very good idea. A couple of people come and talk, and we can, also join together. We can share many things together. Yes, we used to did, but yeah, we can bring out many good points, so they can more interested to come back. And it is a nice gathering. They taste of nice gathering. So I hope many people can join from a UPF.
Yeah, let's talk with Nadia. We're going to kind of push to get a larger audience.
Yes, we have to support. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
Right. I see Ray came on at the end. Ray, good to see you. Greedy.
Hi, Ern Zagari. Actually didn't see the invite, so I just kind of figured there wasn't a program. And it wasn't until I was working, I'm trying to get ready for next week's Interfaith Prayer that Subregion 5 will host. And it always seems to take a long time to get it ready. And I only do it once every 6 weeks. I'm the host. So then I thought, oh, I'll just check and see using the old link. And then I found out that, in fact, you were here.
And we had a recording today. It was really excellent. I like her recording, Pamela Johnson. If you go back to it, she was executive president and co-founder or founder of this anti-violence in Hudson County, New Jersey. She's come on twice, but her presentation is always very clear. So it's on the our website or YouTube. Our website, you can find it. And
yeah, I think I remember her. I think sometimes I have to listen to this when I'm doing something, but she was a pretty vivacious person. She had some program in a city in New Jersey, or
yes,
yeah,
if you remember, she had intervention programs, prevention programs, all sorts of programs that she had implemented, and they were working. They are working.
Right. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm trying to get a balance between there's these various realms of my life. I have UPF, and then there's the Family Federation, and then I belong to the Lions Club, and trying to keep a balance of things. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, next week we should be an exciting one. So please join us, and we will send out an early invitation so we can mobilize more people to come on and hear this. And this year we're going to morph into some very very substantial action plans. So we look for it. Yeah. Okay, everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you, Son, for your comments. Thank you, Nadia. God bless you. All right. All right. Have a good one.
Have a good afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you.
We need it better. All right. God bless. Okay, Andrea, you're right. We're going to do that, especially for next week. Okay. Take care.
Take
All
care.
right, Nadia.
Thank you, Lord. God bless you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris Bahari. Yes.
Nadia,
Hey,
good to
Chris.
God bless.
Adios.